Welcome to the Pat White Show. Let's get into it.
This is Sparta!
All right, folks. Well, I've got a story for you that may prove very, very interesting because it could have a big effect. I mean, a major effect on Fort Wayne. Let me tell you what it is. Down in Indianapolis, they are holding the U.S. Olympic swim trials June 15th through the 23rd at Lucas Oil Field. Now you're saying, wait a minute, that's a football stadium, right? Yes, it is. But they have built two 50-meter, 9-foot-deep swimming pools on the floor of the stadium. These are regulation-sized 50-meter Olympic pools on the floor. Well, turns out they built them and they can tear them down. So when they're done with the trials and they've selected 52 athletes for the swimming team, now we're sending some folks from Fort Wayne down, about 32 of our swimmers, chance to maybe make it. Who knows? Well, after they're done, they're going to break down those pools. And one of those pools is being sent to Fort Wayne. You say, why? Well, it turns out that they're looking for a place to build a natatorium in which to put the Olympic-sized swimming pool. Here's where it gets interesting. Turns out the City Redevelopment Commission recently purchased all the land underneath the Euros and the Taco Bell downtown right next to the Grand Wayne Center. All that land has been purchased. Taco Bell's been moved across the street. Figure out what to build down there. Well, guess what? The city redevelopment folks have been getting money from our food and beverage tax for a long time now. Guess they get about $8 million a year or somewhere in that area. Maybe, and I'm just saying maybe, I don't know, got no insider information, but maybe they are thinking about building a building downtown on that 1-acre property to hold a 50-meter swimming pool. You heard me right. Fort Wayne would have an Olympic 50-millimeter swimming pool, or 50-meter, I'm sorry, not millimeter, 50-meter swimming pool downtown Fort Wayne where Olympic or all athletes could train. That would make us very special and very different. Is that what they're planning with the Redevelopment Commission? To be honest with you, folks, I don't know. But originally they talked about putting an arena down there for the Mad Ants. Well, we know what happened to the Mad Ants. But a natatorium for swimming year-round? Now that would attract a lot of people to Fort Wayne and would turn us to a big-time town, people coming in from everywhere. So I'm just telling you what's going on. So they're moving one of the pools to Fort Wayne. They got to build it somewhere, and I'm just giving you my guess. So that's what I know. Talk among yourselves. You may know something I don't know, but there's the plan. Could Fort Wayne possibly be getting a 50-meter natatorium, Olympic-sized pool downtown? Could be. Stay tuned. Let's see what the city fathers think about that idea. That's all I got for you. See ya. Coming up next. Well, here's a little something for you to take a look at. Most gas stations, they don't have a flying banner and a mascot present when they open their doors. Well, that's most gas stations, but it turns out this station does. And you're saying, why? Well, for the first time here in the Midwest, we are going to see Wawa. That's right, Wawa gas stations and stores, sort of like 7-Eleven type stores, will be opening up in central Indiana in 2025. They plan, I believe, 7 locations in central Indiana. And then after that, heaven only knows where they could go. They could go south, they could go north, they could go northwest. Who knows where Wawa could go? But Wawa has decided to open their territory even more. Most of the time you hear about Wawas on the East Coast, sending up and down. Talk show hosts always talk about going to a Wawa because Wawas are pretty popular. Now, it ain't a Buc-ee's, okay? Just understand that. But it is a service station. Do carry gasoline. They do have sort of stuff you can buy, and they're pretty nice. Keep the places clean, neat. So there's a Wawa. So that's what's coming up next, folks. So Indy gets them first, then to go to Clarksville and Brownsburg and some places like that. But eventually, you could, and maybe could, see a Wawa coming to Fort Wayne. I'm saying it could happen, can't guarantee it, but now you know a little bit more that you knew before. And just tell your friends, say, hey, we could be getting a Wawa. And they'll look at you and go, what? Trust me, they'll figure it out. That's all I got for you. A little factoid. Enjoy it. See ya. Coming up next. Alrighty, let me give you a little education. Way back in the 1960s, 70s, 80s, and 90s, big thing when you got out of high school, your parents said, oh, you must go to college. You must go to college. Everybody back in those days, well, they had to go to college. They figured, well, gee whiz, you're not going to get a degree. You're not going to be able to work. You're not going to be able to get a good job unless you went to college. Well, for some reason, in some cases, that was probably true. But in today's world, we've learned something a lot different. You don't need to be a college graduate to earn a boatload of money. Now, let me tell you, Bureau of Labor Statistics just came out with the average salary of a trade job. Trade job. Something you learn in a trade school. You go to a specialized school, not a college, special school. Average salary is $61,900. And a whole number of occupations pay a bunch more. Ultrasonographer, $131,000. Respiratory therapist, $105,000. Dental hygienist, $100,000. Dental hygienist working on teeth. Construction manager, $89,000. Aircraft mechanic, that's called A&P. If you've never heard about that A&P license, you get that. I'll try a few other ones for you. Cable technician, $70,000. Mechanic, industrial mechanic, $70,000. Solar installer, $70,000. Electrician, $63,000. Licensed practical nurse at LPN, $60,000. And even a wind turbine technician, $58,000. Here's the deal. You can go to trade schools for this. You can learn something in a trade. It's not going to college where you're in debt up your eyeballs for the next 40, 50 years. You learn a trade. Something you can use, something that's good for the lifetime. Now, where do you get those things? You go to trade schools. That's right, trade schools. Believe it or not, we have an excellent one here in the state of Indiana. Largest one is Ivy Tech. Ivy Tech turns out people in boatloads who have licenses for jobs. We're talking about in the construction field, in the nursing field, that's number one. I mean, we have a ton of things. One of the other things is automotive mechanics. You know how much mechanics make in today's world? A lot of money. Well, those are the kind of things we teach. Crafts, welding, electronics, robot making. All that's taught at trade schools like Ivy Tech. All I'm saying is, think about it. You don't necessarily need a college degree in today's world. Today's world, trade jobs are really needed badly. As a matter of fact, because something goes wrong in your house, you got to call somebody to fix it. And who comes in to fix it? Somebody who's about trade school. There you go. And you're paying them a lot of money. Something to think about, folks, because having a college degree is good for some things, but definitely not for everything. That's why trade school's a better idea. Just saying. Save you a lot of money. That's all I got for you. See ya. Coming up next. Alrighty, I want to talk to you about something new that's going on. You may have seen this, you may have heard about this, and frankly, I want to talk about this so you know what's going on. This is about attorneys looking to get money. Well, money from you. And frankly, in some ways, I kind of find it despicable if you think about it. This is the ad they ran. ClassAction.org. Did General Motors track or expose your driving data? It says, join others in taking action. And here's what they're asking. They're saying if you owned a General Motors vehicle equipped with OnStar, within the past 3 years, your privacy rights may have been violated. Now, here's what they're doing. If you've got OnStar in your vehicle, you have an agreement that you signed saying that, all right, gee, if something goes on, you're not going to sue, you're going to go to arbitration. So this law firm has come up with a rather interesting and novel idea saying, okay, well, folks at OnStar, We want to go to arbitration because they may be using the data in the car, the driving data. Now, here's the deal. What they're saying is OnStar was selling or providing the data of your driving to your insurance company if you have one of those policies, which is based on your usage. It's a thing they put in, said, okay, geez, well, how you drive, how you utilize your vehicle, that's going to determine what your insurance rate is. Okay, fine, understand that. If you want to take that risk and have that to get lower insurance rates, that's perfectly fine. There's nothing wrong with that. That's not what this lawsuit or arbitration is about. No, it's about people that didn't go into arbitration, that don't have that kind of policy. These lawyers are looking for arbitration and a class action sort of suit, getting you to sign up, hoping to get some money. Not necessarily money for you. The lawyers are looking for money for themselves, because here's the deal. They say, well, it costs you nothing. That's what they're saying. Oh, Philip, it doesn't cost you anything. The attorneys will only get paid if they recover money on your behalf, and their payment will come as a percentage of your award. You know what that percentage is, folks? Somewhere between 40 and 50%. So let's say you get $100. They will get $40 to $50 of that $100. Now, they're just trying to get as many people as they can to sign up for this arbitration, and that's basically what it is. This is not if you have a usage-based policy. It's for everybody else. So they're asking everybody else who drives a GM car with OnStar, hey, we want to go sue them just to get money. Novel? Yes. Outrageous? Yes. Pitiful? Well, in my opinion, it is. It's sad, but this is what's going on in life and insurance. All I got for you, folks. See ya. Coming up next, the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration has announced a recall on their website of 462,869 Kia SUVs. It's the Telluride version of the SUV from years 2020 to 2024. Now, here's the weird part. Kia is advising owners, now if you own one of these, park your vehicle outside. Don't park it in the garage. Don't park it near, anything else that could catch on fire. That's right. Park it away from the structures or other vehicles until the repair is completed. That's the advice Kia is giving to the owners of the 2020 to 2024 Telluride SUVs. Problem? Well, apparently a front passenger seat motor, and it could overheat, they say, if the power seat glide knob is stuck. Now, I don't know if that means the same thing for about any car that could happen if the knob gets stuck and the motor overheats and, the car catches on fire. So when the motor overheats, it could result in a fire, they say, and increase the risk of injury if you're riding in the car when the seat catches on fire. All right, I understand all that. I get all that. But how many people have their seats stuck? And frankly, I've got a power seat on my Jeep, for crying out loud. Could that button get stuck too? And could it end up, setting the seat on fire, the car on fire? I don't know. Seems like a pretty common occurrence, unless there's a reason that the seat button that controls it has a defect. Well, what the dealers are going to do, install a bracket for the power seat back cover on all the recall vehicles and replace the seat slide knob for free of charge. So what they're saying is, okay, we're going to bracket this thing off. We're going to replace the little knobby that controls that in hopes that it doesn't get stuck and have a car light on fire. Just saying. So now if you're an owner of a Kia 2020 to 2024 Telluride SUV, your ride could catch on fire. Don't park it in the garage. Park it on the street, and if somebody steals it, hey, catches on fire. I wonder who they're going to sue at that point. That would be interesting. All right, that's what I know. The lawsuit of the day, Kia, and the seat being potentially on fire, so don't park in the garage. That's all I got for you. Now you know. See ya. Coming up next. All right, I want to talk to you about a press release. And I got it right there on the screen, a statement, if you will. And the headline is, as Senate Republicans turn their backs on contraception, they turn their backs on America's moms. Really? This statement was released by Kristen Rowe-Finkbeiner. She is the executive director and CEO of Moms Rising, which is, she says, an online and on-the-ground organization of more than 1 million mothers and their families on the Republicans in the U.S. Senate blocking passage of the Right to Contraceptive Act today. Federal government getting involved in the right to contraceptive. You see, she's really upset since the Supreme Court said abortion has no basis in the U.S. Constitution and sent it back to the states to let the states and the voters in those states decide for themselves, which is exactly the way it should have been done in the first place. Federal government, the Constitution, you look at the Constitution, don't give me any BS that's in there because it ain't. Supreme Court said no. Put it back to the states, let them vote. And they did. Some states have said we want it in the Constitution. Fine, they can do that. Voters vote. They're going to be voting down in Florida. Various states can vote on whether they want to have abortion in their state. That's the way it's supposed to be. But this woman and this Moms Rising nonsense coming up about the Right to Contraceptive Act says, well, gee whiz, the federal government should make this a law that women have a right to contraceptive. You already do, sweetie. You already do. Sorry. But you want to have it a federal law so the U.S. government can pay for your contraception. Sorry, that ain't going to happen. You have every right to control your contraception in any way you see fit. But it ain't up to the U.S. government and the taxpayers like me and everybody else to pay for it. Hey, pay for it on your own self. There's lots of ways, you know. And the cheapest way is put an aspirin between your knees. At least that's what my grandmother said. So she told me. I think she said that to my sister probably. But anyway, the point here is the Republicans in the Senate turned it down because you do not have a federal right to having the government pay for whatever birth control pills or whatever you need or want. That's not your job. It's not a job of government. Take it on yourself. That's your responsibility because we have responsibilities in the world, and that one happens to belong to you. And whoever you're married to or shacking up with, I don't really care. I'm just saying the Senate didn't do wrong. The Senate did what they should have. It's not the responsibility of American taxpayers to pay for contraception that you want. That's your job, not mine. My opinion, just my opinion. That's all I've got to say, and that's all I'm going to say. See ya. Coming up next. So do you want to hear something really ridiculous? Well, this one takes the cake, but in a lot more ways you could possibly imagine. California has the largest amount of population in any state in the union. And their governor wants to be the president of the United States. But let me tell you how he's handling things in the state of California. Under his guidance and leadership, he's authorized that taxpayer dollars totaling $5.5 million has been allocated to opening a supermarket in San Francisco for people who are running out of money for their food stamps. Oh, yeah. The individual involved says, well, this is only for people who are on food stamps who kind of run out of money at the end of the month, can't make it. It's not for people during the rest of the time. Really? Once the people figure out, hey, there's a free supermarket, we go get food and spend our food stamp money on drugs or whatever they spend it on, to say it's just for the end of the month is nonsense. But boy, there's more in San Francisco. There is a lot more you got to understand. Because they also have another program where, now, are you ready for this one? San Francisco program. They are now giving alcohol to addicts. I know that sounds weird, but they are now giving, it's called the Managed Alcohol Program, and it's actually operated by the Public Health Department, and they focus limited quantities, they say limited, oh yeah, I love this, of alcohol to prevent serious side effects withdrawal. So they're going to winos on the street, drunks on the street, and going, here, have a shot, man. This is how they're working in California. Have a shot. Oh, you think there's more? Oh, I got more. Wait till you hear this. So anyway, in California, the Council on Homelessness, better known as the CICH, was given by the government $20 billion to solve the homeless problem. $20 billion, that's with a B. And then they call the people in the organization in front of the government and say, okay, what have you done? Give us some numbers here. Show us how many people you got off the streets. You know what they said? Well, we're having data quality issues, so we don't have any numbers. What? Yeah. Well, we give the money to the cities and the counties, and they're not making any reports to us, so we don't know what's going on. So you guys spent $20 billion, and nobody knows your results. Well, yeah. That, my friends, is California, the home of Governor Newsom, who wants to be your president. Just thought I would pass that along to you in case you were wondering if he would be the right candidate to lead this country. That's all I got. See ya. Coming up next. All right, folks, I've got a big story for you. I mean, this is a whopper from People magazine where I got this article. The headline, cicadas in Chicago will become infected with STD that makes them zombies and cause genitals to fall off. Woohoo! Now that, my friends, is a story. That's a story. Well, according to People magazine, cicadas in Chicago will soon be dealing with a massive health problem. The insects are expected to have sexually transmitted disease that's said to turn them into zombies and cause the genitals to fall off. This is coming from reports out of Chicago, so okay, take it for what it's worth. According to Channel 9 WGN in Chicago, a white fungus called Massoporia, and I could be mispronouncing that. If I am, I'm sorry. Massoporia cicada is what affects male cicadas and causes the issues. So this disease affects male cicadas, okay? The fungus targets only the 13 and 17-year-old broods that, those are the ones coming up in Chicago and the Champaign, Illinois area. They're seeing a whole lot of those. And the next area they say is going to be infected is going to be Chicago because, well, they're getting their cicadas too. And what they're saying now is that according to the University of Connecticut, I don't know why they're involved, but they are, the illness, and this is quoting them, turns infected cicadas into zombie insects that disperse more fungus by causing males infected with stage 1 to produce wing flick signals as if they were females, making them highly attractive to male cicadas. Woohoo! So we got male cicadas attracting male cicadas. Gay cicadas? I didn't know that. An entomologist says the ordeal is even stranger than science fiction. Yeah, I could just see it be a movie on that on TV. Said, this is a sexually transmitted zombie disease. Oh, goodness gracious, what will we do? He said the cicadas are completely at the mercy of the fungus. They're walking dead. And here's the better part. The birds eat the cicadas, and it has a hallucinatory effect on the birds. So now we're going to have crazy birds eating infected cicadas. Heaven knows what's going on in Chicago, but there you go, folks. Now you have the latest story about infected zombie cicadas and hallucinatory birds in Chicago. Well, that's Chicago, I guess. What can I tell you? The latest thing you need to know. That's all I got for you. This is a good one. See ya. Coming up next. Well, the chances are you have heard that Caitlin Clark did not make the women's USA basketball team for the Olympics, right? Everybody's heard about it, and everybody's complained about it. Well, I got to thinking about that. Here's the deal, and here is probably my thoughts on why she didn't make the team. She didn't make the team because they had all their tryouts in the month of April. She was at the University of Iowa working on her NCAA, and that's what she wanted to work on for her team, her basketball team that she played on at Iowa. Now, that was when they had the tryouts of the 12 women that were picked. There's 12 people on the team. Now, granted, she has performed very well in basketball since being in the WNBA. She didn't win the national championship, but it was a great game. She's a big draw. People love her. She has been the rebirth of women's basketball. It's true. I mean, when her team played the Washington, D.C. team, there were 20,000 people packed into the D.C. arena. That's more people than attended the NBA Finals game because they're curious. They want to see her. She's good. But the problem is this. She didn't go out and play to make the team back in April. Now, somebody's going to say, doesn't matter, she's that good. Well, here's the problem. She realizes that eventually, 2028, hopefully she believes she'll be on the team, and she'll be ready to go then. Right now, she's just finding her footing, for crying out loud. That's not to say she's not deserving. I think she is. She's got good numbers. She's great, got a tremendous following, and the world would watch the games. I believe that. But you would have to tell somebody on the 12-woman squad, you're out, you practiced, you tried out, but she's better, and we're bringing her in. That, folks, is going to create a lot of discord in the team, possibly in the league, saying, well, you got in, and you didn't have to do anything just because you're great. No, then you create a lot of discord. I understand why they did it, and they said, well, she'd have limited playing time. Well, that's a nice thing to say, but that's not guaranteed. I'm telling you what's going on. If she would have been named to the team after the team had already been named, somebody would have to be booted off, and you would have some bad feelings, and that could go right through the team and destroy the complex workings of the team. That's just the facts. You don't have to like it. I'm just telling you the facts. 2028, yeah, she'll make it. Right now, she might as well just go fill the arenas in every place around the country and the TV sets that everybody wants to watch her. She's that good. But she ain't on the Olympics. But that's just the way life works out sometimes. That's all I got. See ya. All right, you're probably hearing about Caitlin Clark over and over on the TV and the radio. You see stuff. Say, well, this is not fair. She should be playing for the U.S. Olympic team. Well, here's the deal, folks. She already said she was asked to go to the tryout camp. She couldn't do it because she was working at Iowa, getting ready for the NCAA championship. So she forgoed the training camp, and the 12 ladies who were selected by that coach at that training camp, she said, hey, they're great players. Now, here's what else we know. There is a clause in the contract or in the agreement for the 12 players. If someone can't make the game, can't make the going over to Paris to play in the Olympics, there are 2 alternates available. Turns out that Ms. Clark is one of those 2 alternates. So there are 2 ladies that can still be involved with this and still have a chance to go out and play if for some reason one of the other girls who can't make the team because she's injured or whatever. So she's got a chance. But the truth of the matter is that Caitlin Clark says, hey, this will give me a couple of weeks off. She hasn't had a moment's rest, folks. She's between out of college into the NBA, into the WNBA, She's done everything and has no time to herself. She wants to get in the gym, work out, work on some of the stuff, and just have some quiet time. That's where she is. She's not upset about not making it. She says, hey, 4 years from now, I can make it. The women who are playing this year, they're very, very good. And they've won, the last 8 times? So they're probably going to dominate again. Yes, would it create more eyeballs on the Olympics? Yes, it would. But right now, give the lady a break. She said she's going to use 2 weeks to get rested up. Maybe do a few more television commercials, whatever. So she wants to take it easy, and she said the team could do well by itself. Don't make a big thing about it. Yes, she's very good. But 2 other ladies already applied. She didn't. And that's where the game ends. If someone gets injured and can't go, yes, she's one of 2 that could be picked. Will that happen? We don't know. But what I want you to understand is she's good. I agree with that. But she said, hey, I could use the rest. And to be honest with you, she probably could. Just saying. That's my 2 cents worth. That's all I know. But I thought I'd pass it along to you. All I got for right now. Let's see what happens before the Olympics. Coming up next. Well, what do you say we talk a little sports? National Football League sports. And back in April, the commissioner of the NFL, Roger Goodell, was on the Pat McAfee show. Remember, he used to be the kicker for the Colts. Matter of fact, check up. And he is right there. There's Pat McAfee in the middle, and those 2 girls are my daughters by his side. All right. Yeah, on Pat McAfee's show. And the commissioner said, we would love to have 18 games in our season. And right now, apparently, they have 17 games. But the head of the players, well, at least the players representative of the players union, Ryan Kelly, who's the center for the Colts, said, are you kidding me? They perform. He said, yeah, it sounds fine when he says it on TV, but he ain't putting on a helmet for 18 games. And he makes a very, very good point. Playing football like that is a very, very, it can be dangerous. There's no other way to say it. I mean, football is really intentionally hitting each other, knocking each other down, punching each other, whatever you got to do to win. Now, basketball, well, it's on the court, but that's a whole different animal right there. But he's saying, hey, we don't want 18 games. 17, yeah, we agreed to, but we're done with this. 18, no way that's going to happen. Well, you see, Mr. Kelly is the vice president of the NFL Players Association, and so he ain't really sure he's buying what the commissioner is selling. He said this. He says, I think there's a reason they're already putting it out there in the media, right? Start talking about it. The next thing you know, people are going to think it's going to happen. Which basically is true. That's what the commission does. His job is to promote stuff out there to get you, the people, going, woohoo, more games. Players don't like that because the NFL's been pushing for expansion of the regular season for quite a while. But when the league went from 16 to 17 games, well, I tell you, that schedule had been around since 1978. And the players are going, no, hey, we're 17 now. It's brutal. Don't want to go to 18. He said, now here's what Ms. Ryan said. He said, people understood how hard it is to play 16. Then you take another one. They get rid of the preseason games. Fine. But he says, here's the problem. You get rid of the preseason games. The guys who weren't drafted, guys looking for a job, really don't have a way to show their stuff. It's not fair to them. And they're not getting the proper respect and not the visibility they want to make the team. So, now here's the problem. If they went to 18 games, they're going to have to reopen the collective bargaining agreement. Yep. And that's going to probably cost the owners money because right now, the current split is 52. I believe it was 52% and 53% for the owners. So basically, the players are getting 47% and 48% of the pie. That's kind of what they're getting. So the owners are getting the most of it, but the players are not getting half. They're getting less than half. My guess, if they open the collective bargaining agreement, the players are going to want more money. More money. And I'm guessing they're probably going to want maybe 50% split with the owners. The owners right now get the majority. Will the owners do it? Don't know. Owners are greedy. But some ways the players are too, frankly. But they're doing a tough job. So there's the story, folks. We get 18 games, I don't know. It all comes down to negotiation. And that's what they do in the NFL. And they do it through us. That's all I got for you. See ya. Coming up next. All right, I have a little story to tell you all. It has to do with a former Olympic champion by the name of Jesse Owens. Now, Jesse Owens, back in 1936, won the long jump championship at the Olympics. Except the Olympics back then were held in, Nazi Germany, Munich to be exact. And there was the United States, and, there was Jesse Owens doing his thing, and he won the championship in the long jump. Well, turns out on the stand, because he had the number 1, number 2, and number 3, the number 3 man standing on the stands with Jesse Owens was named Lutz Long. He was a German who shared training tips with Jesse and was the first to openly congratulate him after winning his final jump in full view of Hitler. After the Olympics, the two kept in touch via the mail. Well, here's a letter. And I'm going to read this to you. It's a letter that was written to Jesse Owens while he was stationed in the German army in North Africa back during World War II. Because that's what happened. Long was later killed in action during the Allied invasion of Sicily back in 1943. But here's what's his letter. He said, I am here, Jesse, where it seems there's only dry sand and wet blood. I do not fear so much for myself, my friend Jesse. I fear for my woman who is home and my young son Carl, who has never really known his father. My heart tells me, if I be honest with you, that this is the last letter I shall ever write. If it is so, I ask you something. It is something so very important to me. It is for you to go to Germany when this war is done. Someday find my Carl and tell him about his father. Tell him, Jesse, what the times were like when we were not separated by war. I am saying tell him how things can be between men on this earth. If you do this something for me, this thing I need the most to know will be done. I do something for you now. I tell you something I know you want to hear, and it is true. That hour in Berlin, when I first spoke to you, when you had your knee upon the ground, I knew that you were in prayer. Then I know now. Now I do. I know it is never by chance that we come together. I come from that hour in 1936 for the purpose more than der Berliner Olympiad. And you, I believe, will read this letter, while it should not be possible to reach you ever, for purpose more than ever our friendship. I shall believe this will come to pass because I think now God will make it come about. This is what I have to tell you, Jesse. I think I might believe in God. And I pray to him that should ever be possible for you to reach you with these words, I will write you still to be read by you. Well, here's what happened. After the war, Jesse Owens met Carl, and was the best man at his wedding. It's a little story that maybe you didn't know and did you hear about. Jesse Owens. A little something. A little about history. And now you know. Coming up next. All right, what do you say we talk about fast food? Kind of food that we all like to eat. You go to the fast food restaurant, get whatever you want. Well, the problem is that people are asking themselves, gee whiz, how much of the price has gone up on fast food? And the prices, yes, have gone up on fast food. But over the years, in the last, 3 or 4 years, how much has the fast food gone up? Well, I can tell you this, that it's been a whole lot more than you think. Take a look at this. Here's the information. Take a look at these stores, and these are the national locations. Who's the biggest one of all? Price going up? McDonald's. Up 100% in the last, 3-4 years. Popeyes, 86%. Taco Bell up 81%, and some more other ones. You take the Arby's and the Wendy's and what have you up 50%. Subway up 39%. But here's the kicker. Take a look down there. Actual inflation is up 31%. So wait a minute. You're going to say, well, hold on. If inflation's up only 31%, why is the cost of food skyrocketed up to 100% or 60% or 80%? Subway's the closest at 39%. Well, problem is this. Wages. Wages have hit. All these fast food restaurants, not in California, I'm telling you, they're paying $20 an hour for someone coming in and flipping burgers. McDonald's is not a lifetime job, folks. Sorry. Well, apparently for some people it is. Don't know why. But $20 an hour? Well, that's seeping around to other restaurants. They're having to raise their wages also. So all across the nation, wages are going up. That's a big part of the restaurant's overhead. Food is going up. The cost of food that they get from the places that provide them their stuff from their commissaries. People who work in those industries are demanding higher wages too. And they raise their wages, the price of the products they produce go up. Everything goes up. Yes, inflation's gone up 31%, but there's other ways. The price of gas involving the trucks that deliver all the stuff to the stores, that has skyrocketed. You see the price of diesel out there? You know what we're paying for gasoline? That's gone up. So many of these things have absolutely gone through the roof, and we're paying for it. Problem is for the fast food stores, people are deciding they ain't going. And ultimately, that's going to cause them a lot more worse hurt than you could imagine. Because if people don't go to fast food stores, those fast food stores are going to start going out of business. It could happen. In California, one restaurant chain shut down all of their restaurants. They couldn't stay in business. Just telling you what's going on, folks. It's a forebear of what's going to happen when the prices go up this high and people can't stand it. And they aren't. And they ain't buying. Now you know what's going on. It ain't pretty, but that's what's happening in life. That's all I got. See ya. Coming up next. Well, if you're a fan of Wheel of Fortune, it's a pretty sad night for you because, well, Pat Sajak said aloha, goodbye, see ya. 41 years since Pat started the show, took over from Chuck Woolery back in 1981. Now, if you wonder about Pat Sajak, where he came from, let me tell you. He was a disc jockey, just like, well, I was. Both started back in the 1960s, and he ended up going in the military, and he was on the Armed Forces Radio Network. That's where you saw, Good Morning Vietnam, Adrian Cronauer, played by Robin Williams. He was on the same network, did the same thing in the same area. I don't know if they knew each other. I can't tell you that. But that's where he got his start. Ultimately went back into radio after he got out of the military, and Merv Griffin somehow saw him and grabbed him and put him on Wheel of Fortune in 1981. It's lasted for 40-some years. He had his last broadcast Friday night. Now, this is a episode that they actually taped back in April when he did the final show, but I thought I'd let you see what he had to say to the audience. Take a listen.
Well, the time has come to say goodbye. I have a few thanks and acknowledgments before I go, and I want to start with all of you watching out there. It's been an incredible privilege to be invited into millions of homes, night after night, year after year, decade after decade. And I've always felt that the privilege came with a responsibility to keep this daily half hour a safe place for family fun. No social issues, no politics, nothing embarrassing, I hope, just a game. But gradually it became more than that, a place where kids learn their letters, where people from other countries hone their English skills, where families came together along with friends and neighbors and entire generations. What an honor to have played even a small part in all that. Thank you for allowing me into your life.
Pat Sajak. And thanking the audience for allowing him to be part of their lives since 1981. Think about that. 1981. Been doing it over 40 years. He and Vanna White. Now, Vanna's still staying. She's going to be around for the next season, and heaven knows how many seasons after that. But now you know that he said goodbye. And he's old radio guy, just like I was, working with Armed Forces Radio Network, as I said, back in Vietnam. Plain old same person that you saw back then. It's a plain old same person you see today. Wife, family, good folks. There you go. Now you know what happened. Now you know where it is. So that's what I wanted to tell you about. The final chapter, the final episode of Wheel of Fortune with Pat Sajak. But it continues. Ryan Seacrest. Yes, you saw him on American Idol, Dick Clark, whatever TV show you can think about, he's on. So he's now taking the place of Pat Sajak on Wheel of Fortune starting next fall. That's all I got for you. Now you know. See ya. Well, that does it for today's edition of the Pat White Show. Thanks for tuning in, and make sure to follow us on social media for the latest Pat White Show, for all the news and updates. And stay tuned for brand new episodes of the Pat White Show coming real soon. Like what you're hearing? Make sure you don't miss an episode by following the Pat White Show on Spotify. Just search for the Pat White Show, hit follow, and get ready for insightful conversations delivered straight to your Spotify feed. If you enjoy watching podcasts as much as listening to them, good news! The Pat White Show is also on YouTube. Subscribe to our channel now for visual content, behind-the-scenes footage, and full podcast experience. Find us on YouTube at the Pat White Show channel.